What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new live stream. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Christmas is around the corner. So I love the holiday season. But Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 1 is officially out. First 4 episodes. We'll talk about the NFL, the Thanksgiving games, Week 14 predictions, a little bit of NBA. But I will start with Stranger Things. So let me get my screen shared and we can just get right into it. So we'll just go episode by episode as soon as it loads. But hope everyone's doing good. But I'll start with episode 1, The Crawl. Not gonna lie, this is a pretty weak episode, in my opinion. I don't think it's completely terrible, but it's not great. Which an 8.2 out of 10 is pretty high. But I just thought it was a weak episode to Stranger Things standards. Basically starts off with a flashback to when Will was trapped in the Upside Down in season 1, and he's being chased by the Demogorgon, and Demogorgon gets him and brings him over to Vecna, and then Vecna does his thing. So I thought it was a cool flashback. But then after that, it's kind of a bit slow. It just feels like a setup towards like the next episode. Like it's just them explaining things. Like the Byers are living with the Wheelers. It's really just Joyce, Will, and Jonathan living with the Wheelers because they have nowhere else to go. So you have this whole like breakfast scene, and then you have Robin's radio broadcast. Steve's there, and then it's one thing I don't like so far. I do not like Steve and Dustin so far in this part. Like it just feels completely off. It's like Steve just kind of regressed back to season 1 Steve in a way where he's kind of just being like an a-hole to like everybody. Just being a jerk to Dustin for no reason. Dustin just feels like a little erratic and crazy. Where like I understand he wants Eddie's legacy to live on, and he wants to keep Hellfire going. But he picks a fight with whatever that basketball dude's name is, which that guy's an a-hole as well. But so they kind of get into it, and then Lucas, Mike, and everybody else are trying to like talk him out of it and stuff. And you have 11 training hard. Hopper's telling her to take it easy, and Hopper doesn't want to bring her to the Upside Down because he doesn't want to risk losing her, because of course the military thinks she's a threat and they're still after her, and they have her weakness now. So it ends up being the military is bringing more stuff into the Upside Down. So they know that like Hopper is gonna like sneak in there and see if he can find Vecna and whatever else is down there. Um, Obviously, 11 wants to go, but Hopper doesn't want her to go. Dustin um, gets beaten up by the basketball people. And then Will is able to see through Vecna's, victims, so he sees through Holly's eyes. So Will has, a couple new abilities, but eventually they get to the crawl, and like Hopper's in there, and then the military starts getting attacked by Demogorgons, and then Will's able to see through them, and then one of them's heading towards the Wheeler house, and the episode pretty much just ends there. Karen and Ted arguing about the Holly situation. But other than that, I thought the ending was good, but just kind of like a mid episode, in my opinion. Not the worst, but not the best. It just kind of feels like a setup, kind of like a slow burn. Stranger Things season 5, part 1 was peak. Yeah, in some aspects. But we'll go to episode 2. The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler. The opening was phenomenal. In this episode, you have the Demogorgon breaking into the house, trying to grab Holly, and then she runs to Karen, and they hide in the bathtub under the water. And that scene is so suspenseful. But then you have Ted come into the house, with his golf club, and he gets attacked by the Demogorgon, and then like Karen breaks a wine bottle, and Lily smashes it on the Demogorgon, causing it to bleed, and then Demogorgon just like knocks her out and takes Holly, and then got this like whole emotional scene with Nancy, and then 11 goes into Upside Down after Holly. She meets up with Hopper, and then they get into kind of like an argument. Don't know how Nancy and Ted survived the Demogorgon. I thought they were both gonna die, but Nancy and Mike are in the hospital. Then Steve and Jonathan get into it, which Fred mentioned the first episode. I don't like freaking Steve and Jonathan competing for Nancy. I just thought that was unnecessary. But yeah, they kind of get into it over the whole Nancy situation. So I don't like that Steve does that. And then Dustin shows up, and Steve continues to be a dick to Dustin and is like mad at him for getting beaten up. I'm like, bro, really? But Will and Robin sneak away from Joyce, because Joyce's plan pretty much sucked. So they go to the area where Will could see through Holly. So then he sees through Derek, who's the funniest side character of all time. But Nancy and Mike are able to get to Karen, and it gets revealed, which most obvious reveal ever, that Mr. Whatsit is Henry Creel, aka Vecna. So the episode pretty much ends there. I don't remember. Was this the episode where Hopper and Eleven get attacked by the military? I don't remember. But the military has her weakness, so it's a very tense scene where like they're playing the sound and it's screwing Eleven up, and Hopper gets into like gunfire with the military. I believe it's the next episode where Hopper interrogates that random soldier and like Eleven's in his head and it's like hurting his head or whatever. But yeah, I thought this was a better episode than the first one, but the action in it was really good. But that brings us to episode 3, the Turnbow Trap. So basically, they have to find a way to prevent Vecna getting Derek. So they come up with this ridiculous plan to roofie Derek and his family and just get him out of the house and trap the Demogorgon. So I'm like, was that really necessary? Like, that was just a bit much, but it was hilarious. But they come up with a plan to, save Derek from the freaking Demogorgon, and maybe they can track it so they can find Holly. But this episode was pretty good. You have the stuff the Upside Down with Hopper and Eleven. They get to the military base. Derek had some funny scenes in this episode. You have the whole like dinner scene where like Erica goes there, and like roofies the pie with like the sleeping stuff or whatever the freak it's called. I don't remember. But like everyone eats it except for Tina, and then like when the parents pass out, Derek's laughing his ass off, and then he just then he passes out, and then like Tina's like and then like Erica goes, "I told you to eat your damn pie," and then she stabs her with the needle, which is pretty insane. But so they set up the traps for the Demogorgon, and it was a really awesome scene where like they're just throwing everything they got at it, and like it's getting wounded and shit, and then it figures out that it was a trap, and they flip and it heads towards where Joyce, Will, and Robin are, and then Derek wakes up. And then this episode ends with Max showing up, where Holly is, and like Vecna tells Holly not to go into the woods, or whatever. Then she gets the letter that he wants to meet her at the woods, but it was actually sent by Max. But Max is just trying to help her. I think that's pretty much it in that episode. And then Hopper and Eleven find the military base, but yeah, pretty solid episode. And then that brings us to episode 4, which is top rated. But this episode is really good because the opening is really good. You have the whole Derek stuff, which was hilarious. Then the Demogorgon gets there and attacks, and Steve hits it with the car, and Will's seeing through the Demogorgon, and he's like shaken up about it. So then they discover that the military is taking kids under their like protection or whatever. So then they send Derek there to like round them up and get them out of there for safety. Which the military eventually catches on to it, and their plan kind of goes haywire. Um, then we get what happened with Max after she died. Then 11 resurrected her. Like she's trapped in Vecna's mind. Um, and then like Vecna's too scared to go into the cave that she was hiding in. Which a lot of people are saying that like it'll trigger traumatizing memories for him, where like Henry looked scared and terrified, so he didn't chase after Max in there. So she made it kind of like her home, her sanctuary. So she kind of takes in Holly and like tells her the truth, and then she comes up with a plan to escape. But she's like, Henry can't know that you left the house, so she has to send her back there. Um, so we'll see how that unfolds. Then you have like this awesome scene where the Demigorgons attack the military base. It was really awesome, entertaining scene. Um, then you have freaking the military lady freaking um, going at Hopper and 11, and 11 stabs her with scissors, and Hopper knocks her out. And they find number 8 from season 2, from one of the probably the worst episode of the show. So we'll see what happens there. And then Vecna shows up at the military base. His new look looks awesome. Like he looks menacing. Bro had like the coldest entry. Or like he takes out like all the soldiers, and he goes to Will and like talks shit to him. Which I actually thought he was going to take Will with him because of the trailers. But he ended up just leaves him, and he just leaves the area. But then we see Will's powers, where like similar to Vecna's, but he takes out the Demigorgons, saving Mike and Lucas. And that was a really good ending towards the episode. It was a really good cliffhanger. So yeah, probably the best episode we've gotten in this season so far. But kind of a slow start, but a promising finish. So I would say like 7.9 as like a whole, maybe an 8. It's not Cobra Kai season 6 parts 1 and 2 levels of disappointment, but not even close. But a bit of a slow start, but I think it will pick up in volume 2. And I think the finale will probably be the best episode in the show. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Stranger Things. That'll wrap up that segment. But let's get into the NFL games. Yeah, those are my thoughts on there. But yeah, I'm excited for volume 2. All right, starting off with our Thanksgiving games. The Packers sweep the Detroit Lions. First time in a while. But yeah, Packers continue to own the Lions on Thanksgiving. I don't know what it is. But yeah, Lions, they're in danger of missing the playoffs. Jared Goff, 20 of 26, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Tried to do a trick play with Montgomery. Pass attempt didn't work. Jahmyr Gibbs, 20 carries for 68 yards, 0 rushing touchdowns. Montgomery with a rushing touchdown. They were without Amon-Ra, I think. Or he might have gotten hurt in this game. I don't know. But Jameson Williams went off, 7 catches, 144 yards, a touchdown. They need to use him more. Isaac Tessel with a touchdown as well. Montgomery fumbled. Defense isn't that good. Brian Branch, 2 pass deflections. He's dealing with a serious knee injury. He posted on his Instagram story, "God help me," so that's not a good sign. But yeah, 0 sacks from the defense. But yeah, Lions are falling apart. Jordan Love played well in this game, 18 for 30, 234 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I think he's an average quarterback at best. I'm not trying to hate or whatever. Like, you think he's good enough to move the offense, but I don't think he's going to be, on the level of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see it. Josh Jacobs, 17 carries for 83 yards, 0 touchdowns. Wicks, 6 catches, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Christian Watson with a touchdown, and Romeo Doubs with a touchdown. Love did fumble once. 2.5 sacks from Micah Parsons. Great game from him. 4 QB hits. Yeah, defense played well. Packers are now 8-3-1. Obviously, if they had taken care of business against the Cowboys, they might have the 1 seed or the 2 seed. But yeah, I think the secondary needs work. But Jelly, all I have to say about this game. But let's go to the Cowboys-Chiefs, which, by the way, I am the only one on Sportsville, except for Tristan, that picked Cowboys. The Chiefs are cooked. They're done. 1-5 on the road. I think they're like 1-4 or something in close games this year, which last year they were 11-0 in close games. But yeah, the dark magic has run out. Their dynasty, if you can even call it that, is over. Mahomes is washed. Kelsey's washed. This team is done. Their reign is over. Mahomes will never be the GOAT over Brady. People need to accept it and move on. 23 of 34, 261 yards, 4 interceptions. Just stat padding, I guess. Yeah, he can't complete a deep pass to save his life anymore. You have Kareem Hunt in 2025 leading rushing yards, 14 carries, 58 yards. Rashee Rice, 8 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, 61 yards from Worthy, touchdown from Travis Kelce and Hollywood Brown. Their defense is not good. They can't get to the quarterback. 2 pass deflections from Nick Bolton, 0 sacks. Yeah, this team's missing the playoffs. They basically have to win out to even have a chance to get in. Dak, 27 for 39, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He had a really good game. Javonte Williams, 17 carries for 59 yards. Malik Davis had a rushing touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 7 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. George Pickens had some sick catches. He played really well in this game. 6 catches, 88 yards. Javonte Williams with a touchdown reception. 2 sacks for Jadeveon Clowney. A sack from Dante Fowler. I don't see Quinion Williams. Where see, didn't have any sacks. He did have a QB hit. Yeah, Quinion Williams has been a nice addition to this Dallas defense. Their secondary still needs to work. You can still take advantage of their secondary. But I'd say their defensive line has gotten better since adding Quinion Williams. But yeah, great win from the Cowboys. They're now 6-5-1. They're not that far behind the Eagles for the NFC East. So if Philly can't get their offense going, Dallas could steal the division. This late down the stretch, anything's possible. But we got the Cincinnati Bengals upsetting the Ravens on the road in Joe Burrow's return. Joe Burrow played well in this game. Lamar looked horrible in this game. Lamar looked washed out there. The Ravens are now 6-6. They're 3-4 at home. They're in a dogfight with the Steelers for the division. Lamar, 17 for 32, 246 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 3 turnovers, guys. Derrick Henry, 10 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. I don't know why they didn't run the ball more with Henry in the fourth quarter. Like, I just don't get that. Keaton Mitchell, the rushing touchdown. Isaiah Likely fumbled in the end zone like a dumbass. 5 catches for 95 yards. Didn't really get much out of Zay Flowers. Lamar fumbled twice, lost both of them. A sack from Marlon Humphrey and a tackle for loss, 2 QB hits. The Ravens defense did not play well at all. Joe Burrow, 24 of 46, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Chase Brown, 15 carries for 78 yards. Jamar Chase, 7 catches for 110 yards. Yoshiva with a touchdown. Tanner Hudson with a touchdown. He's had some solid plays. And the defense, if only the defense could play like this every week. But it's not going to happen. 2 pass deflections from Dax Hill. 2 sacks from Joseph Osai. And then Demetrius Knight had an interception. Love to see that out of a rookie, a defensive rookie. But yeah, great win for the Bengals. Not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but they can go on a run and go 9-8 and, get in, win the division, because the division's wide open. I believe both the Steelers and Ravens are 6-6. But if the Bengals can just win out, they play Buffalo this week. That's going to be a tough game. But anything's possible. So as long as Burrow can stay healthy and can play consistent, and the defense can just be average enough and just be good enough to close out games, they go 9-8. The Ravens and Steelers fall apart. Obviously, we know the Browns aren't doing anything. But if the Bengals can win out, then That'd be awesome, but it's not very likely. But on to the Black Friday game. Yeah, Eagles fall apart against the Chicago Bears. Eagles are now 8-4. Bears are 9-3. The Eagles' offense looked horrible. Couldn't run the ball with Saquon. Couldn't really pass to either receiver. The play calling was terrible. This is just not the same Eagles team from last year. They look more like the 2023 Eagles, the team that started 10-1 and fell apart and finished 11-6 and got knocked out by the Bucs in the first round. If the Eagles even make the playoffs, they're losing in the wild card. Sorry. This team looks terrible right now. And they've gotten some lucky wins. Week 1 against the Cowboys, the Rams game was bullshit. They have gotten some lucky ass wins. I mean, they got destroyed by the Giants. I understand that's a division game, but look at the Giants now. They're 2-11. Like, what are we doing here? Hurts 19 for 34, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. Saquon 13 carries, 56 yards, 0 touchdowns. A.J. Brown had a good game, 10 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hurts fumbled. They couldn't even do a tush push in this game. A sack from Jalen Carter. But yeah, Eagles are cooked. Caleb Williams didn't even play that well in this game. 17 for 36, 154 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Monangai, 22 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown. Swift, revenge game, 18 carries, 125 yards and a touchdown. Cole Kmet, 3 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. He's our leading receiver. Your leading receiver only had 36 yards, and you still lost. Like, defense wasn't that good either. Kevin Byard had an interception. Jelix Hunt had an interception. But yeah, this is just a brutal game to watch. I don't think either team played that great. But on to Sunday's games. So the 49ers beat the Browns 26-8, 9-4. My dogs are so annoying. But Purdy, much better game than last week. Purdy, 16 of 29, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. McCaffrey, 20 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown. He played well. George Kittle, 4 catches, 68 yards, 0 touchdowns. Jennings had a touchdown. Then defense, 2 sacks. Farrell. Sack from Keon White, former Patriot. Sky Moore, one of the best returners in the league right now. Niners continue to find ways to win despite the injuries. Shedeur Sanders did not play that well. 16 of 25, 149 yards, a touchdown. Judkins, 23 carries, 91 yards. Harold Fanning had a touchdown. They did get a 2-point conversion. Basically all they did. Myles Garrett continue to play phenomenal. He had a sack, 2 tackles for loss. Schlesinger with a QB hit. They have a good defense. It's just being wasted by a mediocre offense. That's why they're so bad. Yeah, nothing really else to say about this game. On to probably the worst game of the week. The Jaguars absolutely smoke the Titans 25-3. Titans continue to be one of the worst teams in NFL history. They're up there with the 0-16 Browns and Lions. 1-11, 0-7 at home. That's embarrassing. Jaguars are now 8-4. They're now leading the division because the Colts lost again, which we'll get to them in a minute. But for once, Trevor Lawrence didn't throw an interception. For once. 16 for 27, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Had a QBR of 68. Wish he played like this every game. ETN, 12 carries, 28 yards, 0 touchdowns. Tootin with a rushing touchdown. Jacoby Myers, 6 catches for 90 yards, a touchdown, former Patriot. Touchdown from Brendan Strange, breakout tight end for the Jaguars. Defense, Josh Hines-Allen had 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. He played well. Had a sack from Austin Johnson. But yeah, Jaguars get a huge win here. AFC South is going to come down to the wire. Cam Ward, 24 of 38, 141 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Tony Pollard, 10 carries for 60 yards. Cheka Okonkwo, 4 catches for 29 yards. Cam Ward fumbled. Yeah. And then Kevin Winston with a sack. Jeff Simmons with a sack. QB hit from Kevin Winston. 2 QB hits from Jeff Simmons. They have good players on the defense. But yeah, Titans are by far the worst team in the league. This is probably the worst I've ever seen, to be honest. But nothing else to say about this game as we go to the Texans and the Colts. The Colts have now lost back-to-back games. They lose their first home game of the season in C.J. Stroud's return. Texans are now 7-5. Colts are now 8-4. It's a huge win for the Texans. I believe they won like 3 or 4 in a row, I think. But Stroud didn't play amazing or anything, but he wasn't bad either. He did throw an ugly interception, but other than that, he did fine. I think, once he gets healthy, Texans have a chance to get into the playoffs. Stroud, 22 of 35, 276 yards, 0 touchdowns, and an interception. Woody Marks, 19 carries for 64 yards. Nick Chubb and Nico Collins both had a rushing touchdown. 5 catches for 98 yards, 0 touchdowns for Nico. Jaden Higgins had a solid game. He's been pretty good for them. And Woody Marks did fumble, but he recovered it. And then the defense has been really, really good. Sheldon Rankins with a sack. And then no interceptions. But Daniel Jones, 14 of 27, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Taylor, 21 carries, 85 yards. He did not have a touchdown, so that streak is over. Alec Pierce, 4 catches, 78 yards, touchdown. Tyler Warren with a touchdown. Jalen Jones with fumble. Then defense did not play that well. Sauce Gardner got hurt early in this game, so that's concerning since they just gave out 2 first-round picks for him. Cam Bynum had an interception, former Viking. But yeah, Colts have a rough schedule ahead. Good win for the Texans. Yeah, on to the Dolphins versus the Saints. Both teams not good right now, but I believe Dolphins are on a winning streak right now. Now they're 5-7 after starting off 1-6. Mike McDaniels might have saved his job. We'll see what ownership decides to do. They did fire their GM, Chris Grier, weeks ago. So Dolphins could get turned around pretty quickly. But Tua, not that great, though. 12 of 23, 157 yards, 0 touchdowns, and interception. Achane, 22 carries, 134 yards, and a touchdown. He's been really good. Darren Waller finally came back, 2 catches for 47 yards. Waddle, only 3 catches for 40 yards. Tua did fumble. Jordan Brooks has been a really good linebacker for them. He did have a tackle for loss. Minkah Fitzpatrick still playing well. He had a sack. 1.5 sacks for Chop Robinson. Bradley Chubb with a sack. And then Rajul Douglas had an interception. And the Saints did make it interesting at the end, but didn't really matter. Tyler Shuck, 26 of 38, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Devin Neal, 14 carries, 47 yards. Valet, which he's a rookie, 8 catches, 93 yards, a touchdown. He's been pretty solid. Chris Olave with a touchdown. Shuck did fumble and he lost it. Cam Jordan with 2 sacks. Brian Brees with a sack. Chase Young with a sack. He's played really well. And then Kool-Aid McKinstry was the one who had the interception. But yeah, nothing else to say about this game. And then we have the Jets beating the Falcons. Very close game. Kirk Cousins, 21 of 33, 234 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. So he played all right. Bijan, 23 carries for 142 yards and a rushing touchdown. Algier, the rushing touchdown. Kyle Pitts, 7 catches for 82 yards. Probably his best game in a while. David Sills had a touchdown. A sack from James Pierce and Leonard Floyd. Didn't get anything from Jalen Walker, except for a QB hit. Then their kicker, Gonzalez, 1 of 2 from the field goal. And then Tyrod Taylor, 19 of 33, 172 yards and a touchdown. But a much better option than Justin Fields. Breece Hall, 19 carries, 68 yards, a touchdown. He played phenomenal. Tyrod got a rushing touchdown. A.D. Mitchell, the best game of his career so far. 8 catches, under 2 yards, and a touchdown. It's really good. Tony Adams with a sack. Clemens got a sack. Then they kicked the game-winning field goal. Nick Folk, former Patriot. Aaron Glenn and Nick Folk were on the same team on the Cowboys in like 2007, I think. Or something. Now he's coaching them. Really weird, but yeah, Jets get their 3rd one of the season. Falcons 4-8, pretty much out of the playoff race. The season's been a disaster for the Falcons. They don't own their 1st-round pick. They gave it away to the Rams for James Pierce. So that's not looking good. So they can't draft anybody in the 1st round. Michael Penix might be out for next year. They're probably going to release Kirk Cousins. They'll probably make him like a post-June 1st cut or something like that. But yeah, Raheem Morris needs to be fired. The Falcons have a ton of talent, but the coaching staff is not good. But moving on to the wildest game of the day. The Rams get upset by the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are a really weird team because last week they looked absolutely horrible on Monday Night Football against the 49ers, and they come out and they upset the the Rams. Stafford broke Brady's record for most games for without throwing an interception, and then he throws 2 interceptions here, including a pick six, which I was surprised that J.C. Horn didn't get either of them. But yeah, the Rams did not play that well. I mean, Puka Nacua had this awesome one-handed catch. Had this awesome one-handed catch as he landed on the ground on his back. You got to be kidding me. Do you have TikTok? No, I don't have TikTok anymore. But yeah, Stafford, rough game from him. $18 of 28, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Blake Corum had a solid game, 7 carries, 81 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Kyren Williams with a rushing touchdown. Xavier Smith led the way in receiving yards. I don't even know who this is. Puka Nacua had a really good game. He had that one-handed catch like I talked about. Adams had 2 touchdowns. Stafford fumbled. Byron Young with a sack. Braden Frisk with a sack. Then they didn't get any interceptions. But yeah, Bryce Young, huge bounce back game for him. 15 of 20, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, interceptions. Chuba Hubbard, 17 carries, 83 yards. Rico Dowdle, 18 carries for 58 yards. Jalen Coker, 4 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. McMillan with a touchdown. And Chuba Hubbard with a touchdown reception. DJ Wonnum recovered a fumble at the end to ice the game. Lathan Ransom had a sack. Derek Brown with a sack. And then Mike Jackson with an interception. He got the pick six. Nick Scott with an interception. ETN. Oh, wait, those are kick returns. But yeah, Panthers are right behind the Bucks for the the NFC South. But yeah, crazy game. 4-2 at home. And the Bucks finally get a win. Bucks finally get a win. They beat the Cardinals by 3. Cardinals are now 3-9. Rough season for Cardinals fans. Just heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss. They've really only gotten blown out once, and that was against the Seahawks on the road. Jacoby Brissett, 29 of 40, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. It's been a lot better in their system than Kyler Murray is. Bam Knight, 11 carries for 62 yards. Michael Carter, 5 carries for 17 yards. Trey McBride, phenomenal. 8 catches for 82 yards, a touchdown. Bam Knight with a touchdown. Bam Knight did fumble. 2 sacks from Josh Sweat. It's been a great addition in the offseason. Big part of their defense. And then Baker, 18 of 28, 194 yards, a touchdown. Surprised he played because his arm was sling in the Rams game. Bucky Irving, 17 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. He's finally back. Godwin, 3 catches, 78 yards. Probably his best game in a while. Tristan Wirfs had a touchdown, the left tackle. And defensively, Vita Vea with a sack. And then Winfield had the interception. But yeah, Bucks finally get a win. They're 7-5. They're 1 game ahead of the Panthers for the division. Got to stay healthy and got to lock in. And oh my goodness. If y'all thought J.J. McCarthy was bad, Max Brosmer might be even worse because holy moly. He's an undrafted QB for a reason. Just a complete disaster for the Vikings. Max Brosmer, 19 of 30, 126 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He does this play where he runs around and does an underhand toss and it gets picked off. And it ends up being a pick 6. Bro, take the sack, you fucking moron. I continue to question why Kevin O'Connell won't run the ball more. I just don't get it. Jordan Mason, only 6 carries, 47 yards, and then 0 touchdowns. TJ Hawkinson, 6 catches, 59 yards. Man, I feel bad for Justin Jefferson. I mean, he looks so frustrated and depressed out there. Only 2 catches for 4 yards. The Vikings quarterback situation is freaking screwing over Jefferson. And the defense actually did well. I mean, Dallas Turner, 2 sacks. Eric Wilson with a sack, 4 tackles for loss, a QB hit. Van Ginkel with a sack. Yeah, Vikings are in trouble because they could lose Brian Flores to a head coaching gig. Because there's going to be a lot of open head coaching spots. The Bengals potentially, the Raiders, the Titans, the Giants. Probably more than that. Maybe the Bills if they do fire Sean McDermott. Sam Darnold, he didn't even play that great in this game. 14 of 26. 128 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Kenneth Walker, 13 carries, 56 yards. Charbonnet, 14 carries, 52 yards, and a touchdown. AJ Barner, their leading receiver, only put up 35 yards. Like JSN didn't even play that great in this game. Only 2 catches for 23 yards. It probably screwed over some fantasy football people. Sam Darnold fumbled twice, lost one of them. Ernest Jones, he had a great game, 2 pass deflections. He had a pick 6 in this game. Just tuck off like 90 miles down the field. Byron Murphy with a sack. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams with a sack. Yeah, the defense had 4 sacks total. Ernest Jones had 2 interceptions, and one of them was a pick 6. Tariq Woolen had an interception, and Kobe Bryant had an interception. Yeah, just complete disaster for the Vikings. They need to figure out who their quarterback's going to be next season. I would call up the Niners and inquire about Mac Jones, because I think Mac Jones would actually do well in this system. If I'm Justin Jefferson, I'd consider asking for a trade, but man. All right, the Raiders are now 2-10. They lose to the Chargers. Geno, 18 of 23, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had one of the worst throws I've ever seen, and somehow Brock Bowers caught it. Genti, 15 carries, 31 yards, 0 touchdowns. Brock Bowers, 4 catches, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. Continuing, trying his best to carry this horrible offense. Geno fumbled. 2 sacks from Max Crosby. He played really well. Trying his best to carry this atrocious defense. Free Max Crosby. Send him to the Patriots or the Bengals. But yeah, Raiders are one of the worst teams in football. Justin Herbert, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He didn't really have to do that much. Vidal, 25 carries, under 26 yards, and a touchdown. He's been pretty solid. Ladd McConkey only had 39 yards and a touchdown. Johnston with a touchdown. A sack from Khalil Mack. Defense had 5 sacks total. But yeah, Chargers now 8-4. Could sneak into the playoffs depending on offensive line play, but we'll see how that plays out. Last game of Sunday afternoon, the Buffalo Bills absolutely mopped the floor with the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers has like 3 fractures in his wrist. He got hit in the nose too. Like he had a nosebleed. Like said, like, you know, his nose got broken or whatever. Like it was like he had to come out of the game because of his nose was bleeding or whatever. But Steelers have not won a playoff game since 2016. The Steelers have been stuck in purgatory for almost 10 years now. And that's not good. That's embarrassing. They need to move on from Mike Tomlin. They need to completely tear it down and start a fresh rebuild. I mean, look at the Patriots. I mean, they had to do it. They had to get rid of Bill Belichick. They had to get rid of everybody. They rebuilt, and look at them now. They already have a franchise quarterback, and you know they're having a successful rebuild. Look at the Seahawks. They had to get rid of Pete Carroll. They replaced him with Mike Macdonald, and Mike Macdonald's done a solid job there. So the entire AFC North needs to get rid of their coaches. The Steelers need to tear it down. Like it's done. It's over. If the Patriots can move on from Bill Belichick, and if the Seahawks can move on from Pete Carroll, then the Steelers should move on from Mike Tomlin. All right. The game has passed him by. All right. He just isn't adapted to the modern NFL anymore. Just not. It's time to move on. It's time to start over. It's starting to start fresh. I know Steelers fans probably don't want to hear it, but it's true. I'm sorry. It's the same story every year. Hot start, late collapse, 9-8, first round exit every single year. They're not good enough to compete for a Super Bowl, but they're not bad enough to have a top 5 pick and grab a franchise quarterback. It's the same story every fucking year. And I'm not even a Steelers fan. Rodgers, 10 of 29, 117 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mason Rudolph came in. He threw an interception. Jalen Warren, 10 carries, 35 yards, a touchdown. Darnell Washington led the way in receiving yards. DK Metcalf has been a massive disappointment. And then they traded away George Pickens, and he's been balling out for Dallas. You could have had Metcalf and Pickens. And the defense, it's the highest paid defense in the league, by the way, and they're not playing well at all. 0 sacks. The Texans had 8 sacks on Josh Allen last week, and this defense couldn't get 1. Like, are we being for real? Brandon Echols with an interception. The secondary is weak as well. Yeah, and then Buffalo. Josh Allen didn't even play that great. 15 of 23, under 23 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Like, it was nothing amazing. 32 carries, under 44 yards for James Cook. Josh Allen had a rushing touchdown. James Cook, they're a running back, led the way in receiving yards. They only had 33 yards. So I don't even think the Bills played that great. And he still got smoked. Sack from Joey Bosa. That's the one that really freaking took Aaron Rodgers out. Christian Benford an interception. Yeah, Bills 8-4. I believe they're like 2 games behind the Pats. But yeah. On to Sunday Night Football. The Broncos barely beat the Marcus Mariota Commanders. Commanders should have won this game. Bo Nix continue to say he's overrated. 29 of 45, 321 yards, a touchdown, interception. RJ Harvey, 13 carries, 35 yards, 2 touchdowns. Evan Ingram was their leading receiver. Sutton with a touchdown. Bo Nix fumbled. Let's see. Nick Bonito with a sack. Then Dre Greenlaw had an interception. But yeah, Broncos are not that good. I continue to say it. Like, I'm sick and tired of them getting wins like this. Marcus Mariota, 28 of 50, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. He's a good backup, basically. Rodriguez with a rushing touchdown. Zach Ertz, 10 catches, 106 yards. McLaurin came back for whatever reason. He had a touchdown. Should have had 2 touchdowns, but got called back because of holding. Treylon Burks with a touchdown. And then defense, 1 sack from Frankie Louvu. Bobby Wagner had an interception. But yeah, Commanders should have won this game. They went for 2 in overtime, and they didn't get it. It wasn't even close. And they lost. They're 3-9. Broncos 10-2. On to Monday Night Football. The New England Patriots absolutely smoked the Giants. Drake May played phenomenal. 24 of 31, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. J.K. Henderson, 11 carries, 67 yards, 0 touchdowns. Hunter Henry played really well, 4 catches, 73 yards. Booty with a touchdown. Kyle Williams with a touchdown. His second in his career. Elijah Ponder recovered a fumble. Christian Ellis was bringing all the smoke, playing physical, tough defense against these soft-ass Giants. A sack from Harold Landry. Elijah Ponder with a sack as well. Yeah, our defense played physical, that old school grit and grind, early 2000s New England defense. Bringing that back to this soft-ass NFL. Marcus Jones on a kick return touchdown. So he played really, or a punt return touchdown, excuse me. So he really sparked the fire. Patriots win their first home game on Monday night since 2016, which was against the Joe Flacco Ravens. They win their first game in the red uniform since week 5, 2022 against the Detroit Lions. Jackson Dart, a bit iffy, 139 yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions. Devin Singletary, 12 carries, 68 yards, a touchdown. Slayton had a touchdown. They did get a 2-point conversion in garbage time. Defense was all right. Abdul Carter got a sack. But yeah, and freaking Young-Ho Koo, he went to kick a field goal, and he kicked the freaking ground, and then the holder had to like pick it up and try to run it, and then he got leveled. Like, that was probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. Like, it was hilarious. But yeah, just classic, 2020s Giants football. Patriots are on a 10-game winning streak, 11-2, first in the AFC, heading into the bye week. Giants are out 0-8 on the road. But yeah, it was a great win for the Pats without Milton Williams, without 2 starting offensive linemen, and Will Campbell and Jared Wilson both on the left side. But that will wrap up week 13. So we get into the week 14 picks. Lots of tough games this week. We get the thing pulled up. Taking its sweet ass time. This is so freaking stupid. Like, it should not be taking this long. Bro, hurry up, bro. Fuck this. Every fucking time. You know what? I'm trying something else. I don't have time to waste. I really don't. My battery is so low because the battery does not last very long. All right. All right. Starting off with Thursday night, Dallas versus Detroit. Kind of a rough game to predict. I can see it either way, but I feel like the Cowboys have played better lately. I could see Detroit winning because it is a must-win game for them. They want to like stay alive in the playoffs. But I think Dallas has played really well. And Detroit's defense isn't that good. So we'll have Dallas win. Then we got Seattle versus Atlanta. Give me Seattle. They should win this game easily. Potentially, well, probably second game of the week. Battle for the AFC North, the Ravens versus the Steelers. These games are always good. I'm going with the Ravens. Steelers always play them tough. We got Browns versus Titans, potentially Shedeur Sanders versus Cam Ward. I'm going to take the Browns to win. I just think they're more constant than Tennessee. Away. Then we have a big game. We have the first place Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. It's in Lambeau. I'm taking the Packers. Then we got a big game between the Colts and the Jaguars. I'm going to take the Jaguars on this one. Then we got Commanders Vikings, probably the toughest game to predict because don't know who the Vikings quarterback's going to be. Is it going to be Brosmer? Is it going to be McCarthy? Commanders have a worse record. At Minnesota, the Vikings can't beat the Commanders, who have a bad defense. I don't know what to tell you. I generally don't know what to tell you. So I am going to go the Vikings. Dolphins, Jets. It's in New York. I could see the Jets winning it, but I'm going to go the Dolphins because I think they've played better lately. And then Tampa Bay versus the Saints. Give me the Bucs. And then, of course, the Broncos have another easy game. So 29-17. They got Rams versus Cardinals. Could be interesting. I'm going to take the Rams, though, to bounce back. And then I'm going for the upset of the week. Give me the Bengals. Neither defense is good. I trust Joe Burrow more than Josh Allen, believe it or not. So I am taking the Bengals for the upset. Then we got Texans, Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Texans. That defense is really good, and Mahomes hasn't done well against good defenses this year. And we got Eagles, Chargers. I know the Chargers have a bad O-line right now. But just by the way the Eagles offense is playing right now, I'm going to go Chargers. I trust Justin Herbert more than Jalen Hurts. But Patriots, Panthers, Giants, 49ers all on a bye. Gives the Broncos a number 1 seed, which is bullshit, but whatever. Yeah, these would be your division leaders or your division standings if I got all these picks right. But yeah. All right, so couple NBA games. Wizards beat the Hawks. McCollum 46 points. Magic smoked the Sixers. Anthony Black 31 points. Have been playing phenomenal, and then Lakers beat the Clippers. Unfortunately, at Wednesday's games. God, this computer sucks. Never get a Chromebook, guys. Click the button 11 million times. It's not working. What the fuck is going on? Okay, Celtics snap the Pistons 13-game winning streak. Cade Cunningham, 42 points. Jaylen Brown, 33 points, 10 rebounds. How the game ended, Celtics fouled Cade on a three. He made 2 free throws, missed the last one, and Celtics won the game at the end. So it was a pretty crazy game. Heat beat the Bucks by 3. Hero, 29 points. Rollins, 26 points. Raptors scraped by the Pacers. Scotty Barnes, 24 points, 10 rebounds. Thunder barely beat the Wolves. Ant, 31 points. Shea, 40 points. Most of those are from the free throw line. I guarantee it. Rockets beat the Warriors. Reed Shepherd, 31 points, 21 from Jimmy Butler. No games on Thursday because of Thanksgiving. So I go to Friday. Hawks beat the Cavs without Trae Young. 29. So a triple-double from Jalen Johnson, 42 from Donovan Mitchell. Magic beat the Pistons. It was a really good game. Desmond Bane's been phenomenal lately. Once they get Paulo back and, if he can, get into a rhythm, then Magic can be a top 3 team in the East. Cade, 39 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, triple-double for him. Thunder barely beat the Suns. The Suns have been the most underrated team so far, probably the most surprising team. SB with 24 points, 37 from Shea. Spurs beat the Nuggets by 3. I think they're still without Wemby. 35 from Vassell, 37 from Jamal Murray, Noah's favorite player. Luka, revenge game, beat the Mavericks by 10 points, 13 points from Cooper Flag, 38 from Reeves. Grizzlies beat the Clippers. Good for them. God, this battery life sucks, dude. All right, Wolves beat the Celtics. I'm kind of disappointed with how the Wolves played. They should have absolutely smoked the Celtics. They're at home. They're the better team. Celtics without their best player for the whole season and Jason Tatum. Wolves should have won by a lot more than just 4. So Wolves fan, I'm very disappointed that they didn't win by more. But Ant had a great game, 39 points. Love those throwback uniforms. 41 from Jaylen Brown. Pacers beat the Bulls. Pistons beat the Heat by 3. 31 from Andrew Wiggins, 29 from Cade. Nuggets beat the Suns. Mavericks beat the Clippers, 35 points from Cooper Flag. Clippers are one of the most disappointing teams so far this year. Like, Thunder might get a top 5 pick given how poorly the Clippers have played. Celtics somehow beat the Cavs. Cavs have been very disappointing. I know they've been dealing with injuries, but the Cavs should have absolutely smoked the Celtics, should have mopped the floor with them. They got nobody to put on Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. You have Peyton Pritchard going off for 42 points, and Jaylen Brown only had 19 points. And you're at home. And they lose by 2. Allowed 30 points in the second quarter, allowed 32 points in the third quarter. I like the throwback uniforms the Cavs have, but just disappointing loss. Celtics are barely above 500. They've had some nice wins here, but they're still not making the play-in. Okay, Hawks beat the Sixers. Thunder barely beat the Blazers. Wolves beat the Spurs. 22 from Randall. Lakers beat the Pelicans. 34-12 from Luka. Making a case for MVP, to be honest. Then to wrap it up, Monday, December 1st, Pistons beat the Hawks by 1. Double-double for Jalen Johnson. Cavs bounce back, beat the Pacers. But it's the second time they've beaten them. Wizards beat the Bucks by 3. If I'm Giannis, I'm pissed off. 30 from Kevin Porter Jr. Heat dominate the Clippers. Magic beat the Bulls by 5. 37 from Bane, second game in a row. 20 points, 11 rebounds from Vucevic, former Magic. Mavericks beat the Nuggets by 10. Anthony Davis, 32 points, 13 rebounds. Jokic with a triple-double. I don't know why whenever he gets a triple-double, they lose. I don't get it. 29 points, 20 rebounds, 13 assists. Bro, 20 rebounds and they still lose is insane. And then somehow the Jazz beat the Rockets. And then Suns absolutely smoked the Lakers. Love to see it. 28 points from Gillespie, 38 points, 11 rebounds from Luka. But yeah, that'll pretty much wrap it up for the NBA part. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.